All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into the brand new Xpeng P7 Plus electric sedan and the company behind it, Xpeng. We've got a whole bunch of sources to look at for this one. News articles, reviews, company announcements, you name it.
It's pretty fascinating, we're not just talking about a new car here. We're getting a glimpse of what Xpeng thinks the future of driving looks like.
I heard some buzz about the P7 Plus pre-orders, something about a crazy rush to order this thing. Is that true?
Yeah, you could say that. They had over 30,000 pre-orders in under 2 hours after they first showed it off at the Paris Motor Show. And then,
Good crawl.
when it actually launched in China, they had a record-breaking 31,528 firm orders in the first 24 hours. Over 10,000 of those were in just the first 12 minutes.
Wow, that's insane. What's driving all this excitement? Is it just the price, or is there something more to it?
The price is definitely a big part of it. The P7 Plus starts at 186,800 yuan, which is about 26,100 US dollars. That's definitely undercutting competitors like the Tesla Model 3. But there's more to it than just the price. The P7 Plus has a lot of tech and some seriously impressive specs.
Okay, I'm interested. Tell me more.
First off, the range. 710 kilometers, that's about 441 miles. Based on the Chinese testing cycle, that is, the CLTC standard. It's usually a bit more generous than the EPA range.
Gotcha. So you could drive from San Francisco to LA without any range anxiety.
Exactly. Plus, Xpeng says they expect the range to actually increase even more after they do some over-the-air updates in December. And it can charge really fast, too, like 16 minutes to go from 30% to 80% using a DC fast charger.
That's really impressive. They're going right after Tesla with that. And speaking of Tesla, Xpeng is calling the P7 Plus an AI-defined vehicle. What does that even mean?
So artificial intelligence is built into pretty much every aspect of the P7 Plus stuff, from how the car drives itself to the features you'll find in the cockpit. AI is at the heart of the design and engineering.
Let's start with the self-driving system. What makes it so special?
Well, Xpeng made a really bold choice here. They got rid of the LiDAR sensors you see in other cars, and instead, the P7 Plus uses a camera-based system. They call it AI Hawk. Sometimes it's Eagle Eye. It really relies on AI processing to work. It's a direct challenge to Tesla's FSD system, which is also camera-centric.
So they're using cameras and AI to figure out where the car is and make driving decisions instead of those LiDAR sensors. That's pretty daring. What are the advantages and disadvantages of going that route?
The biggest advantage is cost. LiDAR is expensive, and that cost gets passed on to the buyer. A system that's based on cameras can be much more affordable, which means these advanced driver assistance features are available to more people. Cameras can also capture more information about the world, more detail. And when you pair that with sophisticated AI, you can have a very capable self-driving system.
But it can't be perfect, right?
Yeah.
I was reading a review of the P7 Plus Lente, and the reviewer mentioned a few limitations with this vision-based system, especially in certain situations.
Right. Systems based on cameras can sometimes have problems. When it's dark or the weather is bad, that's where LiDAR usually has the advantage. But AI is always getting better. Xpeng says the Eagle Eye system in the P7 Plus Spray can see 125% farther and is 40% faster at recognizing things compared to their old systems.
So it sounds like they're really betting on the future of AI, and not just for self-driving. You mentioned a smart cockpit earlier. What's AI doing in there?
Oh, the cockpit is full of AI-powered stuff.
Yeah.
The P7 Plus uses Xpeng's newest operating system, XOS 5.4. It has features like an intelligent voice assistant that can understand you when you talk naturally. It gives you personalized recommendations, and even uses facial recognition to personalize your driving experience. They've even got an XGPT model in there, which lets you have more complex and engaging interactions. With the car's AI,
XGPT, is that like ChatGPT?
it's definitely inspired by the same technology that powers ChatGPT. It lets you talk to the car's AI more like you would talk to a person. So for example, instead of saying navigate to the nearest coffee shop, you could say something like, find me a scenic route with a good coffee shop along the way. And the XGPT would actually understand and respond to that.
That's really cool. It's like having a co-pilot. That's also a personal assistant.
Yeah,
And a tour guide.
exactly.
This car really is a showcase for Xpeng's AI ambitions. But it's not just a tech demo, right? It has to be a good car to drive. What's the overall impression of the P7 Plus design and features?
From the outside, the P7 Plus looks great. It's got this sleek design, like a coupe. And it's actually larger than the previous model, the P7i. The interior is impressive, too. It's spacious and has all these premium features.
How spacious are we talking? Can you fit a whole family in there comfortably?
One source said the P7 Plus has enough space to fit 33 carry-on suitcases. So yeah, plenty room for the whole family. And they'll be riding in style. I'm talking Napa leather seats. with heating, ventilation,
Yeah.
and even a massage function, all standard.
Massage seats. Now, that's comfort. It sounds like they're targeting buyers who want the best of both worlds. Cutting-edge tech, great performance, and a luxurious experience.
Yeah, exactly. Xpeng seems to be going after a certain type of buyer, families, tech-savvy drivers, people who want comfort and innovation. But this is where things get really interesting. Xpengs Vision goes way beyond selling cars.
Really? What else are they doing?
They want to be a big player in the future of mobility, which means more than just building cars. They had an AI event recently where they showed off a bunch of AI-powered innovations.
Okay, I'm listening.
First, they're developing their own AI chips called Turing. They say these chips will make their autonomous driving even better. They're also working on a really advanced robotaxi program with a vehicle called Ultra. It's designed to be level 4 autonomy, so it could operate in most situations without a human driver.
Robotaxis. So they're competing with companies like Waymo, Cruise, and Tesla.
Exactly. But that's not all. They're even working on flying cars, a mass-produced flying car, with a modular design. And a single stick control that's supposed to be really easy to use. They even say you'll be able to learn how to fly it in just a few minutes.
Wait, flying cars? Are they serious?
It seems like they are. They're planning to do the first public flight this month, and they want to start taking pre-orders in December. And if that wasn't enough, they're also putting a lot of resources into AI robots. They just revealed their newest humanoid robot called Iron. It's been in development for over 5 years. It's designed to be really agile and dexterous, with over 60 joints. And 200 degrees of freedom.
So they're building cars, self-driving systems, robots, and even flying cars. How are they doing all of this?
Xpeng is investing a lot in developing all of their core technologies themselves, from their advanced driver assistance systems and their intelligent operating system to things like the powertrain and the electrical architecture. This gives them more control and lets them innovate faster.
It's like they're building their own ecosystem, similar to what Tesla has done. And speaking of Tesla, Xpeng is doing something else that reminds me of Tesla.
Are you talking about their chip upgrade program for people who already own an Xpeng?
Yes. They're giving owners of older Xpeng models the chance to upgrade their chips to get the latest self-driving features. It's a smart way to keep their customers happy and to make their cars better over time.
It's definitely a customer-focused approach, and it's a great way to build brand loyalty. So what does all this tell us about Xpeng?
Well, they're ambitious, innovative, and they're not afraid to challenge the way things are usually done. They're taking risks, and they're moving fast.
Yeah. They don't see themselves as just another car company. They want to be leaders in the future of AI-powered mobility.
It's going to be fascinating to see what they do next, especially with the competition in the EV and autonomous driving markets. But one thing's for sure, Xpeng is a company to watch.
I completely agree. They're definitely one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, before we get even deeper into the P7 Plus area and Xpeng's big plans for the future, let's focus back on the car itself for a bit.
So let's talk more about the P7 Plus itself. You know, what does all this AI tech mean for the person actually driving the car? It's easy to get caught up in all the excitement about flying cars and robots, but at the end of the day, the P7 Plus is a car that people can buy and drive right now.
That's true. What's the driving experience like?
Well, if we think about the bigger picture, the P7 Plus represents a real change in how cars are being designed and built. Xpeng seems to believe that AI is going to make a huge difference in how we get around. It'll make driving safer, more efficient, and more personalized.
And that's why they decided to go with a vision-only system for self-driving.
Right.
No LiDAR, just cameras and AI.
Exactly. It's a risky move. And not every reviewer is convinced yet, some reviewers have said, that the system has limitations, especially in busy cities or when the weather is bad. But Xpeng says their AI is constantly learning and getting better, so the system should improve over time. And remember, they have that upgrade program for people who own older Xpeng models, so they can get the newest self-driving tech when it's available.
So Xpeng seems committed to staying ahead of the curve. But besides all the tech, what about the car itself? How does it drive all?
Based on the reviews we've seen, the P7 Plus isn't really a sports car. In fact, one reviewer even said that it doesn't feel as sporty as it looks. It seems like it's more about comfort and a smooth driving experience. It's spacious, luxurious, and has all these tech features that make driving more enjoyable and convenient.
So it's more of a cruiser than a corner carver.
Yeah, that seems to be the general consensus. But it's not slow. It's got up to 308 horsepower, so it can definitely go fast when you need it to. And don't forget about that 710-kilometer range. This car is made for long drives.
And I bet those massage seats are nice to have on a long trip. Speaking of long drives, that 710-kilometer range, is that based on the CLTC standard?
Oh, you're right. I should have clarified that. Those range figures are based on the CLTC standard, which is the Chinese testing cycle.
Hmm,
It's usually a bit more generous than the EPA range.
got it. So it sounds like Xpeng has really thought about what their customers want. Families and tech-savvy drivers
Yeah.
who want a comfortable, high-tech, and efficient car.
Exactly. And all of that. At a price that can compete with Tesla, they're trying to find their own space in the market. Premium electric vehicles with cutting-edge AI
Yeah.
that are more affordable than some of the other options out there.
And let's not forget, this is a company that's also developing flying cars and humanoid robots. Their vision is much bigger than just making cars. They want to be a part of this whole AI-powered mobility revolution.
Absolutely. That raises an important question. How is Xpeng going to stand out in a market that's getting more and more crowded?
Well, their focus on AI seems to be what sets them apart. They're really investing in those in-house AI systems, from self-driving and smart cockpit features to their more futuristic projects like flying cars and robots.
Right. And it's not just about the technology itself, it's about how they use that technology to create a smooth and engaging experience for the user. The P7 Plus is a good example of that. It's a showcase for their vision of an AI-defined vehicle, where technology makes driving better without getting in the way.
They've got the technology, they've got the vision, and they're definitely making bold moves. But can they actually do it? Can they deliver on their promises and scale up their operations to meet those big goals?
That's the big question. The launch, the P7 Plus, was very successful, but increasing production and expanding into new markets are going to be big challenges.
Especially with all the global supply chain problems
Yeah.
and the intense competition they're facing.
Yeah, you're right. But they've shown that they can adapt and innovate quickly. Remember their decision to switch to a vision-only self-driving system for the P7 Plus skin? That was a big change, and they did it.
It shows they're not afraid to take risks and make tough decisions when they need to. But there's another challenge they'll have to overcome: perception.
What do you mean?
Well, Xpeng is a Chinese company, and they've mostly been focused on the Chinese market. As they start selling their cars in other countries, they'll need to deal with any biases or skepticism that people might have about Chinese brands.
That's a good point. Building trust and brand recognition in new markets is going to be really important for them to succeed. They'll have to prove that they can make a product that meets global standards and that customers around the world will want to buy.
And they'll need to do all of that while staying true to what makes them special: AI-powered innovation and a focus on the customer.
Exactly. So they have a lot to do, but they seem to have a clear plan and the determination to make it happen.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do next. You know, we've talked about a lot. But there's one thing about Xpeng that we haven't discussed yet: their commitment to sustainability.
Right.
Yeah, sustainability. We've talked about their cars, their AI, even their plans for flying cars. But we haven't really touched on how Xpeng is approaching sustainability. Lots of EV companies talk about being green, but what is Xpeng actually doing?
Well, it's interesting. They're not just focused on making electric vehicles. They're really thinking about the whole picture, the environmental impact of their products from start to finish. They're using renewable energy in their factories. They're looking at using sustainable materials in their cars. And they're even working on ways to recycle batteries responsibly.
So they're thinking about more than just tailpipe emissions. They're considering the environmental impact of the whole process.
Right. They've even set some pretty ambitious goals, like becoming carbon neutral in their operations by 2030.
That's a big goal. It sounds like they're serious about this. But let's be realistic. Every company faces challenges. What are some of the hurdles Xpeng might encounter?
Well, like any company that's really pushing the boundaries of technology, there's always a chance things won't go exactly as planned. Developing those advanced AI systems, especially for self-driving, could face delays or technical problems.
And a flying car, that's a really cool idea, but it seems incredibly complex.
Yeah, it's definitely a moonshot. The rules and regulations around flying cars are still being figured out, and there's a lot of technology and logistics to work out before they become something people use every day.
And then there's the question whether people actually want to use flying cars. It's a pretty big change from driving on the ground.
Yeah, that's a question for the future. But for now, Xpeng is focused on making the P7 Plus a great car. They're building a solid foundation for the future, while still exploring those bigger, more ambitious ideas like flying cars.
That seems like a smart strategy. Start with a strong base and then build towards that bigger vision. So, to wrap up, what are the key takeaways from our deep dive into Xpeng and the P7 Plus?
Well, I think it's clear that Xpeng is putting a lot of faith in AI. They think it's going to revolutionize how we think about transportation. The P7 Plus is a real-world example of that vision. Style, technology, and a commitment to sustainability. They're aiming to shake things up in the EV market, and they're doing it with a combination of innovation, ambition, and a focus on the customer.
And they're not stopping there. They're pushing the boundaries with flying cars, robots, and a broader focus on sustainability. It's been a fascinating deep dive.
I think what's most impressive is their willingness to take risks and their constant pursuit of innovation. They're not afraid to try new things and push the limits of what's possible. It's refreshing to see, and I'm excited to see where they go from here.
Well said. Xpeng is definitely a company to keep an eye on. As we wrap up our deep dive, here's something to think about. With their big push into AI, their vision for the future of transportation, and their unique approach to technology, will Xpeng become a major force in the global auto industry? Or will they be another ambitious startup that fades away? Only time will tell. But it's going to be interesting to watch their journey